I'm Sarah Bernard, joined by Community Forester Mark Grueber. You're with the Missouri Department of Conservation, and we always love when you all come in and tell us, give us tips on things to do in our own yard and what's going on around St. Louis for nature lovers. So today we're talking about pruning trees in the wintertime, and you've just given us in the last segment some great ideas on what to look for and that kind of thing. So let's talk about your toys here.
Okay, sure. My implements of destruction, I say
exactly.
sometimes. This is the pretty common hand pruner that most people have or have access to. The one thing I'd show off about this is it's something that's called a bypass pruner, where the blade actually bypasses the base. Some types of pruners out there are called anvil pruners, where the blade actually cuts down on a chopping block. Throw those out and go get yourself a pair of bypass pruners, because anvil pruners actually cause damage to the remaining wood on the tree, which is something you really want to be careful about if you can.
Okay.
And don't skimp on a pair of pruners like this. Good ones will cost you in the range of $20 to $30, but it's worth it because they'll make a good clean cut and it'll allow you to not force the pruner, which again is something that causes damage to the tree.
And this size can be used up to, do you know what diameter of a limb?
It'll depend somewhat on the quality of the pruner, but some of the good ones out there, like this particular model, they'll cut a limb that's a good inch in diameter on certain types of woods too. Some woods are harder than others. Dead limbs especially can be difficult to prune, but they'll go up to a ½ inch to an inch in diameter.
Okay, good. And it's handy. It's small. I like it.
Yes, absolutely. And they're easy to use for most folks. The other tool that I'd show is just a folding handsaw. Has a little button on it, and the blade pops out like so. This is something when that limb gets above what you can get to easily with those hand pruners. Again, don't force it. Don't wiggle really hard on the pruner because that causes damage. Go get yourself a nice handsaw. Again, these are available at most hardware stores. The one thing folks should keep in mind on these is most of these saws are designed to cut as you pull the saw, where most carpentry saws that most do-it-yourselfers are used to working with actually cut on the push. So as you're pulling the saw back towards you, that's when it actually makes the cut through the limb.
So if you're cutting off a limb, should you cut it right up against the base of the tree, the trunk?
That's an excellent question, and it's difficult to actually explain it without showing it being done. There's something that's called the branch collar on a tree that's actually just a little bit out away from the trunk or the parent branch of where you've got two branches coming off. And you want to stay outside of that branch collar because that's actually the trunk or that parent branch growing around the other branch. And there's tissue in there. It's very specialized at keeping decay out. So it's not real obvious to see. We've got some good information on our website which demonstrates it very well. That's the point where you want to make your pruning cut. So not directly flush against the trunk of the parent.
And is there a certain angle? Or
that angle generally is going to be perpendicular or at a right angle to the way the branch is coming off of the trunk or, again, that parent branch.
Okay. All right. And what else have we got?
The other thing I'm going to show off to you is the one I don't want anybody to use that a lot of people have out there. This is kind of an antique model. These are called loppers, and the reason why you don't generally want to use these on trees is because as you start to close them, inevitably your hands will twist. You really can't help it. And again, that causes damage to the remaining tissue on the tree, which is what you absolutely want to keep from doing. That keeps decay from spreading into the tree. So use your loppers if you want to chop a shrub to the ground or get rid of something, but don't use it on a live tree.
All right, and I am so guilty of the lopper. I have one in my garage that's bigger than that.
And most everybody does.
I have to go get a saw.
Sure.
So, okay, so we are in winter, and ice is always something that people are concerned about with their trees. We see trees and branches falling over. What do you suggest we do if there's an ice storm?
What you don't want to do if there's an ice storm is to run right out there and start trying to get the ice off of the branches, because generally what you're going to end up doing is actually damaging the tree. Yes, some damage is going to be inevitable. The more ice we get, the heavier it is. You're going to have branches break off, and there's really nothing you can do to prevent that other than good structural pruning before the ice storm occurs. But yeah, once the ice or the heavy snow gets on there, just leave it alone. Let the once the ice melts or the heavy snow load comes off, then you can take a look at it, assess what damage has been done. If there's broken branches, you can grab your pruners if you can get to them easy and fix them. Maybe your tree's bent over, you can look at staking it. Staking is something you should only do if you absolutely have to, and you want to make sure you do it properly and not wrap rope or wire right up against the trunk of the tree, because that actually girdles the tree and causes damage to the tissue that moves water and nutrients back and forth.
Okay. So if we get a big snowstorm, what about taking a broom to the lower branches and getting the snow off?
It's really best if you just leave it on there. I mean, trees are designed to handle a certain amount of load. And yes, sometimes we're going to get loads that are excessive and break it, but again, you can't really prevent that. So it's best to just leave it on there, admire how pretty it is, take a few pictures, and just let it stay.
Very good. Mark, thank you so much.
You're
this is
very
really
welcome.
helpful. It's helpful for me. I like learning things that I can use at my own home, so I appreciate it. For more information about tree care and other forestry and wildlife-related information, visit the Missouri Department of Conservation at mdc.mo.gov. Stay tuned to STLTV Live. We'll be back with Mary McGill and Kathy Garavaglia after this break.